or looking to take your business to the next level, this podcast is packed with actionable tips, real-world strategies, and the insights you need to crush your business goals and build the business of your dreams. Now that you're here, let's dive in. Welcome back to the Fit Biz Accelerator podcast. And today's episode is going to be a powerful one because we're talking about something that every fitness coach deals with, and that's client consistency. Because most clients don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they can't consistently do what they already know they should be doing. They get stressed out. They get overwhelmed. They fall off. They restart every single Monday. And as coaches, it's easy to think that the answer is just another meal plan or another workout split or another habit tracker or some kind of other motivational message, right? But what if the real issue is deeper than just motivation? What if the real issue is the nervous system, their energy management, their environment, and the lack of a simple structure that they can actually follow when life gets crazy? That's exactly what we're diving in today with my guest, JD Tremblay. And JD is an integrated engineer, an ultra endurance triathlete, a certified naturopath practitioner, and director of high performance and mental resilience at Hungry Warrior Academy. He brings a very unique combination of engineering and biology and military discipline, emergency service experience, and also extreme endurance performance. JD uses also a system-based approach to help people be able to regulate their nervous system, manage their energy, build resilience, and then perform at a high level without burning out. And for the fitness coaches, this is huge because the coach who can help clients stay consistent, manage stress, and actually follow through long enough to get results, that coach wins. They get better transformations, they get better retention, they get more referrals, and they could build a business that's not just based on programming workouts, but actually creating real transformation. JD, my brother, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tobias.
Absolutely, man. Great to have you here. And before we get into the systems and the science and the high performance side of things, I want to start with your story, man. You've got a unique background. You got engineering, military service, volunteer firefighting, ultra endurance events, naturopathic work, high performance coaching. Like, how did all of these worlds come together for you, man?
Yeah, that's a great question. I started out in the northern part of Quebec, where I grew up as a French Canadian, which you might guess from the accent. And then at the age of 17, I joined the military due to unhealthy environments. I had to make the decision that it was not going to be my environment that dictate how I'm going to grow up. I wanted to make sure that I make those decisions. So I had to cut families from my life. I was bullied as a child by a lot of the kids at school. And I saw it as a part of my life that was quite dark. However, it turned out to be that now I'm able to manage criticism much better than a lot more people. For the haters, well, I love them. And for people that love me, I still love them because they love me anyway. So I manage criticism much better as a result. When we're looking at military, a lot had to do with here's the mission. Here's point A, point B, just get to it. We don't care how you're going to do it. Just do it. And then I understood that concept. And the second one that I learned from the military is that they don't give you discipline, which is a poor mentality, like a poor mindset that people have of the military. A lot of military members are undisciplined. To prove it with facts, there's a statistic that even the Ministry of Defense said we don't want it to come out, but it did come out in the media, and it was that 28% of military members are too obese at the point of not being able to be deployed. Now, we're not taking into account the 68% that are overweight. That's just because if they take BMI into consideration, there are some people that I would even consider some of them being fit. So that's why I'm not taking that data. But
Yeah.
28% to me, that shows 1 in 4 people are either undisciplined in some ways, or there is some form of health issues, but it still stems from discipline. So when you receive your military uniform, they don't just cut your brain and put a chip inside and say, here's discipline. What I learned is that the military gives you a structure, and they did when I was in, and they give you they give you the structure, and it's up to the person to decide whether or not they follow that structure in order to get the discipline. And then we'll talk about discipline and how to get it at a later on. So that's what I learned with the military. I learned about structure and following the structure, and then I it led me to engineering. I wanted to at first it was building houses for people that were in need, and now with the Hungry Warrior Academy, the philanthropic side, we get to do that. So that's phenomenal. But when I was in engineering, I learned math and systems, and a lot was complicated. I showed up and I was not good in math. I still don't consider myself to be extremely good in mathematics, but all of my courses were about math and science. And so I learned to take systems that are, or that seems to be complicated, and then just break them down quite easily so that everybody can digest and use it. Because that's the way I saw engineering. Engineering was a person that uses science and creates systems or prototypes so that people can use the science that we developed and that we discovered. Then I use these systems to go to do some ultra endurance triathlons around the world and traveling and doing these events. Again, proving that my system was working because I did not know how to put it into practice, and I thought that nobody would want to learn from JD. I was really struggling with this imposter syndrome that I would say a lot of coaches are struggling with.
Yeah.
For me, it was, well, I'm just a military veteran. Who's gonna want to hear from JD Tremblay? And then so I went to get an engineering ring. Now that's integrated engineering. That's all the field into one program, and I specialize in biomedical. And when I came out of university, I said, who's going to listen to JD? Because, well, I'm technically not a professional engineer. So there was always another step.
Yeah.
And I would say a lot of people are struggling with it. So I decided to test those systems to see if it would work. And that's when I went to an institute to learn about anatomy and nutrition for years at an institute to become a certified naturopathic practitioner, and and then have and then work with the Hungry Warrior Academy as a result. So that's
Yeah.
how all of this is combined with one, so that we can give somewhat of a holistic approach for everybody while still battling this imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. Because in the fitness space, we're often taught to look at the body through training and nutrition and calories and macros and steps and workouts and progressive overload and sleep. It's all important, right? But you talk a lot also about nervous system regulation and energy management. So, for the coach listening who hasn't gone deep into that world yet, what does some nervous system regulation actually mean in just simple terms?
In simple terms, the way I would describe it is, how can you get from your sympathetic system to your parasympathetic system the fastest possible so you can adapt to a stimuli and be able to be functional. That's the way I could explain it.
Can you
Quite
break
simply.
down what those two phrases mean, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic?
So the sympathetic system is built to save us from an attack. It's the survival mechanism of the body. It heightens all of your senses, and to some degree, I would say that everybody has felt it before. whether they have been in a car accident or they have been in a military environment, and if they were civilian and never lived anything like that, you've probably had a bad relationship with someone, and someone just gets to, like, your partner just gets to yell at you, and you sense it as an attack, or you
Yep.
sense it as a way to survive. So the
Yep.
body is designed to survive. We are not designed to thrive at all whatsoever. We have to learn how to thrive, but the survival mechanisms are all used to help us navigate life. If you don't know how to regulate that nervous system, then what you're doing is you're reacting to the stimuli versus creating some decision in your life to move forward while receiving the exact same stimuli as somebody else. For example, there are firefighters that get on the scene and they see an accident. And that's not for everybody. I can understand that and I can attest to it. Some firefighters show up at the scene and then they react erratically. And we are told in fire school, do not run. A firefighter that run is because there is an imminent uh, blowing up of a train, or there's an explosion going on. Otherwise, there's no firefighters that will be running. These are all Hollywood movies. There's no firefighters that are running. Okay. But then there are others that are able to regulate their nervous system and able to get into those spaces. And with the coach or with the audience that we have today, it's the exact same. You have these clients where sometimes they don't do the work, or you are a coach and you have these difficult clients or these difficult or they're much harder than usual because you're learning from those individual and they are giving you their problems. Now, as soon as someone gives you a problem, the brain, it reacts to that stimuli. You are wired to repair or to create a structure and to repair that problem immediately. That's how you're wired. You're wired, okay, I want to help that person. I want to save that person. And then there are people that you will not be able to save. There are people that are a situation that you might have to just take a step back. And then there are other people that you will have to go head on. And how do you get from that system to a system where you are able to be at a parasympathetic? Now, the
Yeah.
parasympathetic is somewhat, let's take digestion. Digestion is part of the parasympathetic system because you're not digesting while you are being attacked. So there are a lot of people that are reacting to those stimuli and they're living in this constant state of fear. And then if you analyze all of these fears, which the six main fears are with the acronym POLICED, right? POLICD. So policed without the E. And it's poverty, old age, loneliness or loss, illness, criticism, and death. When you analyze them, then you understand which one is at your highest in those six. And then you can gauge which one you're going to address first. And then you can regulate your system based on it because you understand this is the one that I fear the most. For
Yeah.
me, if we look back, and I alluded to it earlier, I was 17 years old. I was bullied as a child. So now criticism for me is not part of one of those one of those major fears. That there were other ones, but criticism might be one of yours. What are people going to say online? And but when you look at the data, people react very well. Like, you have to look at data, not emotions.
Yeah.
So when you look at data, people react very well online to controversial topics. works. That's what sells. So you're just going to make a post about something completely controversial. People are going to hate you. And if you understand that any news is good news, whether it's bad or good, then you're able to function based on statistics, based on a fact, not and fact and logic, not on your emotion, because it doesn't feel good to be criticized by others.
Yeah, and that's such an important distinction. Like we covered a lot of things, and we have a long topics of things to go in here too, because a lot of coaches are dealing with clients who say things like, "Hey, I know what to do, I just don't do it," or "I was good for 2 weeks and then I fell off," or "Work got crazy and I got stressed out and went back to old habits." Like the coach is thinking they need more accountability. And this is just to kind of rewind a few steps from what we were talking about before. But maybe the client doesn't just need more accountability. Maybe they need better regulation, right? They need better structure. They need a way to stop living in a fight or flight all day and then expecting themselves to make perfect decisions at night. When a client is constantly stressed and overwhelmed and running on fumes, what happens to their ability to be able to stay consistent?
They won't be able to. The best advice I can give is rest. It's recover,
Mhm.
definitely. Um, Regardless of the religion that you have, one of the greatest tool that we possess is meditation. So the study shows that it takes 12 minutes for the brain to adjust to a different brain wave. And so in neuroscience, with meditation, regardless of the faith and religious belief that you have or background, you are able to meditate. Now, there are active meditation and then there are passive meditation. So, the passive meditation is quite difficult. I can attest to it. I was not good at it at first. Uh, but the active one is something similar to rock climbing. When you go rock climbing, you have to you're still in the same brain wave as meditation. However, you are active and you have to think about your arms without looking at your legs. You're still moving them to the exact spot to get the right hold. And so that's the active part. Walking is part of a softer meditation that people can partake in. We're talking no music, no distraction. So many people think that high performance is achieving more. And I would say AI can do the more. AI can do all of the work. You input anything and it just does, it gives you an entire book with one prompt. But what AI is bad at, and right now, AI is not good at being creative. Now, the way we get to be creative is by resting our brain, not by doing more. So
Yeah.
you're able to do more by, which is, we're talking more as in terms of quality, not in terms of quantity. The quantity, leave it to AI. The quality comes from up here,
Oh,
and
that's
the
good.
way you get to regulate that is by resting.
That's huge, man, because a lot of coaches have great plans, but they create them for the version of the client who is calm and focused and motivated and having a perfect week. But that's not real life, right? Real life is kids getting sick, it's work deadlines, it's bad sleep, not good sleep typically, right? Relationship stress, travel, low energy, mental overload, how you were just kind of talking about in there. So when you're helping someone build a system that actually works in real life, where do you start? Because obviously there's, the walking, those type of meditations. Is that where you would start them, in something simple like that?
For us, we have our foundation, which is the Epic, and then we have our system. And I know I can walk you through our system, which is called the DECA, which stands for the Epic DECA that I completed. So our DECA system, the first letter stands for discipline. The second is energy regulation. The third one is capacity, and then the fourth one is action. De-discipline. Many people again would say that discipline is doing the same thing every day and then doing something that you might enjoy or not enjoy. Here's how to break down discipline in a really easy format. One is pick a non-negotiable. And that non-negotiable comes from what you are already doing. If, let's say, I took JD and put him in jail right now, what do you think JD would do? Just what would you think that JD's non-negotiable would be? That I'm in jail, or that I'm free in the world, or that, and you wouldn't be too far off if you said something about fitness. Okay. But what happened is that people think that, well, I'm going to build discipline. So I'm going to wake up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, you don't like it. Why would you like it? All of these gurus and all of these individuals are talking about this 4 a.m. or waking up at 3 a.m. because Nikolai Tesla was talking about 3, 6, and 9, and those number means something. And so I understand they do. I'm all for those numbers, and they do mean something in the spiritual realm and all. But if you are not built for it, if your organs and your energy regulation and your entire system around you is not built to wake up at 3 in the morning, then why would you wait? Why would you force yourself to do something that you don't like to do?
Yeah.
The way that you build discipline is you do something that you really enjoy doing. You build a discipline with something that you enjoy that is already a non-negotiable, and then it trickles down to other parts of your life as a result. So it's the discipline becomes the byproduct of your non-negotiable. So it can be going for a walk. That's it. You know that for me, I'm gonna go for a walk every day. That's it. You don't have to go and do something about fitness either. Can be cooking. That's it. I love cooking. That's it. That's my non-negotiable. Well, you build discipline with that cooking part. And there's lots of money, by the way, to be done into those cooking TikTok videos, or you like dancing. But wake up in the morning, just go dancing. That's it. You wake up at 10 in the morning, at 2 in the afternoon, or you wake up at 3 in the morning. It You will dance. That's it. Today you will dance. That's your non-negotiable. It doesn't have to be, well, I'm gonna go run a 5K or run an epic deca or all of these. That's building discipline with something that is fun, not just doing something that is necessary, right? Dr. Jordan Peterson explains in his book, The 12 Rules of Life, make your bed. And that's for somebody that wants to build a discipline to, again, get some dopamine in. But when I was in the military, I made my bed, and then I had a sleeping bag. I put it on top of my bed. I optimized that system to a level where I would not even have to make my bed anymore. I took my sleeping bag, shove it in a bag, zip it up, and threw it in a bin. So I just made my bed in 2 seconds. Is that giving me a lot of dopamine? No, not at all, because I did not make my bed. I just shoved the sleeping bag aside. So you can still optimize that system, and you can still find ways and loopholes to not make your bed. Or if you have enough money, you pay someone. So that non-negotiable can be for your clients, it can be for you, and then you build that discipline, and it trickles down to other parts of your life because you're enjoying it. Like
Yeah.
I if I wake up at 4, I'm gonna work out. I know in the next 24 hours, I'm gonna have a workout, and I
Yeah.
don't even have to say it. My body shows it that I had a workout. And again, I want to be respectful for all walks of life. It doesn't have to be about fitness. Your non-negotiable will trickle down to other parts, because now you will enjoy cooking, and then you'll understand that that discipline is every day, but you enjoy it. And then you'll bring other people, you'll build that community, and then it will trickle down to other parts. You'll say, like, oh, I like cooking. I like building that discipline. Every day I'm cooking and I'm making new recipes. All of a sudden, whoop, I'm building a business, and it trickles down to that business. It trickles down to other parts of your life. Well, I want to spend time with my kids. Well, I'm going to eat that way, which again, we move to E, which is energy regulation. So now you are regulating that energy based on the non-negotiable, because and the entire part of your day. So you're not just going on TikTok and someone says, "Oh, I'm going to drink a shake." Right? Now that guy drinks a shake. Well, cortisol levels high in the morning. Then all of a sudden you put some nice strawberries and blueberries. You want to be healthy, so you put some maple or even honey, like raw honey too, because apparently it's different. And so I agree. So we're not gonna get into that debate. So
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's like sweetener, and then you drink it, and it's all fine. However, here's what happened to your energy. Insulin is high, cortisol is high. What do you think is happening to your nervous system? Well, you're not able to function. Now you're into traffic in the morning. You're just going to work, working on a computer, or your client is going to your computer, and then you're going to that gym. You're not even working out. You know you're not going to be spending that energy. Cortisol level is high, and insulin is high. It just takes one. It doesn't even take a Karen. It takes a quarter of a Karen. It takes one little something to just throw you completely off course and have your nervous system completely out of control. So now, if you understand, well, am I going to use that energy? Yes or no? If it's yes, I'm going to use that energy right away. Eat that shake, eat some carbs. That's fine. There's no problem. But you're going to be spending that energy. It's quick energy. Otherwise, we'll go for fat and protein, which again, a lot of people are just making it so complicated about everything. It's like, well, eat carbs because you're going to spend that energy. And if you need quick energy, carbs. Otherwise, fat and protein is also fine. And that's about it. Everybody needs carbs at some point, but it's about regulating that energy based on what are your needs that is custom to you. And you can build it with just,
Yeah, I love that, because the best plan is not necessarily the most impressive plan. The best plan is the plan that your client can actually follow. Sometimes we overcomplicate things because we want to prove how smart we are, but the client doesn't see or doesn't necessarily need more complexity, right? They need more clarity. They need structure. They need simplicity. They need to know exactly what to do when life gets messy. So from your perspective, what are some simple daily structures that help people perform better without burning out?
Well, definitely find your non-negotiable, which builds that discipline. And then for sure, it's going to be the meditation. I talked about it. If you talk to your client about either passive or active type of meditation and do it for a minimum of 12 minutes per day, you will see some massive improvements because they will be more focused, because they'll be resting more. Sleeping is at the top of the chain of, it's at the top of the pyramid. Most definitely sleep. For my son, he sleeps 12 hours. And when he does not sleep his 12 hours, he wakes up like 10 hours. Again, he's homeschooled, so that's a bit different. Like, we have the structure to accommodate for this. Okay, that's not for everybody, but for him, 10 hours, I know that he needs that extra 2 hours. There's something that is going to go. And so understanding what are your sleep patterns and what do you need, and understand that it works in 2-day cycles. So just like the digestive system, it works in 2-day cycles. So it's not because you did not sleep yesterday very well that the next day you must sleep more. It's working in 2 days cycles. So definitely sleeping and understanding and logging your sleep pattern is definitely a key factor.
Yeah, that's so good. So important for you too. I want to switch gears a little bit too. I want to talk about motivation, because motivation gets people started and systems keep them going. And for the coaches listening, that's a major business lesson, because if your client results depend upon your client feeling motivated all the time, you're going to have inconsistent clients. But if your client results depend upon simple systems and clear communication and structure that supports them through real life, now you've got something powerful. So let's talk about burnout for a sec, right? A lot of fitness coaches are trying to grow their business. They're creating content, they're answering messages, they're coaching clients, they're doing check-ins and booking calls and sales and delivering, and they still take care of themselves. They're teaching health while quietly running themselves into the ground. So what are some signs that a coach or a client is heading towards burnout before it becomes obvious?
The emotional side, for the majority of people, they don't know how to regulate their nervous system, so definitely the emotional side will show prior to the physical system. So it's very difficult to see, especially when now a lot of the interactions are online. It's very difficult to know what are the ticks for people that sometimes they would twitch. And again, I'm exaggerating, but there are some people that will go as far as twitching or even blinking, or but those are physical signs. But before it reaches the physical side, there's an emotional breakdown. And so people oftentimes um, are a bit more snappy, and that's when you realize that the client is already at the first stage, and if you don't want him at the second stage to have some physical damages, then they already need uh, to understand how they can uh, recover or sleep better, and
Yeah.
understand how they can regulate that nervous system prior to the burnout.
Yeah, that's a great coaching takeaway too. And I also want to get tactical. So let's just say I'm an online fitness coach and I'm listening to this and I have 20, 30, 40 clients. I'm already doing workouts, nutrition, check-ins, and maybe some habit tracking, right? I like this idea of nervous system regulation and energy management, but I don't want to overwhelm my clients. So what are three simple things a coach can do to start adding this into their coaching this week?
Can you reframe the question? I'm not sure I quite understand the way it's gearing.
Yeah. So if I'm a coach and I've got a full client load and I'm
Yeah.
doing a lot of things, I have a lot of things on my plate. Um, what, and I don't want to overwhelm my clients, but I also want to help them out with nervous system regulation and energy management, right? What are just a couple things that a coach can do to start adding this into their coaching systems or program to help my clients with energy management and nervous system regulation?
So awareness is the big one, which is the non-negotiable. A lot of people don't even know what their non-negotiable is. They think that it is about fitness, which it might not even be. I had a client this week. It was reading, so uh, and he had no idea. So again, what it did to him, and he was running multiple businesses, so he slowed down by adding. We added to his workout routine 20 minutes a day. That was his none. And he said, yeah, I really love reading. How did you know? Like
Yeah.
and so again, finding that non-negotiable is key. I talked about meditation. So definitely incorporate some form of either passive or active meditation. And hopefully you can move to passive
So
meditation.
breathing, those kind of things in there too.
Um, when you when I meditate, at first you let your mind drift. It's more of a they call it. I don't like those, but those brainstorm dump where when you're just dumping all of your thoughts onto a piece of paper. I don't like those because that's just telling your brain that it's acceptable to have a brain dump. So I don't like those. But when you are meditating, your mind will free flow anyway. And many people try to control it by thinking about their breathing or control. It's about understanding that your system will be thinking about all sorts of ways. And so that's the moment that you are allowed to start thinking and restructuring your day. So by being or leaving all of the control to your system is able to regulate itself without going on screens. And then the third one is in today's age, and that was shown for me. I cannot talk about the medical side of it.
Yeah.
But what I can tell is my own experience. We deal with a lot of countries that are quite poor into the slums, and those kids don't have cellular devices, and because they're not exposed to screens, um, a lot of the kids are able to have interactions. And so I would say at the very least, and that's the bare minimum, know what is your average screen time online. Because
Okay.
again, like I said, it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Yeah, that's a great message because at the end of the day, fitness coaching is not just about like sets and reps and macros and meal plans. It's about helping humans change. And humans are complex. They have stress, they have fear, they have old patterns, they have real life pressure. So the coach who learns how to support the whole person is going to be able to stand out in a big way. So let's jump into some rapid fire questions. So these are going to be just quick answers. The first thing comes to mind. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. All right.
All right. What's one habit you personally never skip?
Well, fitness, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
What's one thing that people underestimate when it comes to recovery?
When it comes to recovery,
Mhm.
recognizing patterns.
Okay. What's one thing that people overcomplicate when it comes to high performance?
The quantity
Okay.
that they have to do. Yeah.
All right. And what's a quick piece of advice you'd give a fitness coach who wants better client consistency?
Consistency, or just like the first clients, or
Consistency with their clients.
consistency.
Mhm.
Have the best systems. It's all about systems.
Okay. And what's one sign that someone is operating from burnout instead of true discipline?
Burnout instead of true discipline. Well, the emotional side leaves, so the person is not able to, or that's for the majority of people. Yeah, the emotional side generally leaves before, so they start yelling, being erratic, and so that's the emotional side. They're unable to regulate it. Yeah.
Okay. And what's one simple nervous system regulation tool that someone could start using today?
The double breath.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Have you ever tried it?
a double breath?
Yeah. It's yeah, like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just did.
Yeah. Exactly. No, no, no.
What?
It's yeah.
Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Okay. Well, what's one lesson that endurance training taught you that applies to your business?
And it's about systems, and the best one. No, the best one. Yeah, definitely humble. Definitely humble. Yeah. You can't be prideful when you're doing these events and you're prideful. You will tense your body, and you will most likely not complete these events, or your body will shut down at some point. So definitely, pride has to get out of the window when you're doing these events.
Nice. Yeah, I like that one. What does hunger for more mean to you now compared to earlier in your life?
In the beginning of my life, it was about reaction to a stimuli versus consistent decision based on facts, logics. So now we're able to function well versus just reacting to any form of stimuli and survive. We're more in the thriving period right now. So that's the hunger part right now.
Okay. And then finally, if a fitness coach listening only remembers one thing from this episode, what should it be?
Oh boy. That it's about structure, not well, not yeah. I think yeah, we talked about it. It's about quality, not about quantity. And that's quantity is for AI, and quality is for the creative and individual that will succeed. Because the people that are creative, those are the people that will be thriving right now.
Okay. JD, this has been awesome, my man, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing, all this context and information because I think this is a conversation that more coaches need to hear. A lot of coaches are trying to get better at marketing, at sales, at content and business growth, which is obviously important, but the coaches who create the best results are the ones who understand people and they understand behavior and they understand stress and they understand consistency. They understand how to help clients keep going when life gets hard. So, where should people go connect with you, learn more about Hungry Warrior Academy, grab the book, or follow what you're doing?
HungryWarriorAcademy.com is our only website.
All right, there we go. So grab it. Perfect. And for everyone listening, make sure you check out JD Tremblay and the work he's doing. And as always, if you're an online trainer or fitness coach and you're looking to grow your business and get more consistent leads, improve your sales process, and build a coaching business that actually gives you more freedom, make sure you subscribe to the Fit Biz Accelerator podcast. Share this episode with another coach who needs to hear it. And I'll see you on the next episode. For tuning into the Fit Biz Accelerator. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a tip or strategy to grow your online fitness business. And if you're ready to fast track your success, don't forget to check out tntfitprocoaching.com. Until next time, stay consistent, stay focused, and keep crushing it.